Hello, it's the Friday Talkie, and all being well, it'll actually be out on Friday. I'm recording it on Thursday. I've got several things to talk about. First one, just to answer, because one or two people have been asking, that job that I applied for, or had an interview for last week, how did that go? Well, we were going to be informed if we got the job on Tuesday. It's now Thursday and I've heard nothing, so it's probably fairly safe to assume I've not got the job. Ho-hum, life goes on. Not going to worry about it. You know, that's just how it is. We keep applying. Anyway, what have I got to talk about today? Main topics. I've got three. Atari Jaguar versus 32X, because in terms of capabilities they're very similar. And if you'd asked me which one's better, or which one should I buy, or which is more practical, or blah blah blah, a while ago I would have given a different answer to the one I'm going to give now. Yeah, no prizes, you can guess. Anyway, another topic, following a conversation, a very interesting conversation on Facebook, bigger channels and shoutouts. I'll get onto that later, and the final topic will be how you just never know the person you're watching on YouTube. You think you know them, but you can find out you really don't. So, starting at the start, Jaguar versus 32X. I have always considered them to be very similar in terms of capability and software availability, ready availability, shall we say, affordable availability. They both do flat shaded polygons very well. The Jaguar has a tendency that the developers, they liked their, how do you pronounce it, goo something or other, gooey shading. They liked that funky shading. Neither have a lot of games with texture mapping. They each have a couple of games, maybe, with texture mapping. I mean, what have we got? Readily available games. For the Jaguar, stuff you will find easily at an affordable price that are good games. Tempest 2000, Alien vs Predator, Iron Soldier, Doom, Cybermorph. These are good games. I like them anyway. And then 32X, Star Wars, Virtua Racing, Virtua Fighter, Metalhead, Cosmic Carnage, debatable whether that's good or not. These, they're easy to get hold of. There are other games that are easy to get hold of. But a lot of the ones, especially with the Jaguar, I found out, there were lots of games you could get that were affordable, but kind of crap. Club Drive and Checkered Flag you can get fairly easily, they're fairly affordable, but they're really quite crap. But I kind of like that about the Jaguar. There is this underdog thing. I mean, the whole system was just cobbled together in a hurry, not finished, released with bugs, so the programmers had to work around the bugs. And the games all feel, or many feel, very rushed and unfinished, and some, I mean Club Drive in particular, is so crap that I like it because it's so crap. It's half-assed, but it's funny. In the same way that South Park, the animation on South Park is deliberately shite. And that's part of the appeal. And I find that, I like some things, you know, they're so crap that they're great. Club Drive is one of them, in my opinion. Checkered Flag, well, that was kind of like the Jaguar take on Virtua Racing. And it is so crap that it's just crap, unfortunately. But there are quite a few games out there for the Jaguar that you can get hold of easily, and some of them you'll kind of wish you hadn't bothered. Then the 32X. I had one back in the day, and in my local games shop I was only ever able to buy Star Wars, Virtua Racing, Doom, and in some second-hand shop I managed to pick up Metalhead. But basically it was those three games. Star Wars, Virtua Racing, Doom. I think they had Virtua Fighter as well. Anything else was really hard to find. So back then, a Jaguar was probably a better purchase. You could get more games. And I mean, with the 32X, you had to have a Mega Drive already before you even thought about the 32X. And the 32X, when I bought one, was 150 quid. How much was the Jaguar? Can't remember, but you know. So 150 quid plus a Mega Drive, and then you could only find 3 or 4 games easily. It didn't make a lot of sense. I had one anyway. I didn't know it was going to turn out that way. And I suppose in retro gaming terms, if someone had said to me, which is the better purchase? I probably would have said, if you haven't got a Mega Drive already, probably go for the Jaguar. If you don't, if you can appreciate a certain amount of Atari clunkiness, you will get better value. You will get more affordable games. Now, EverDrive. As you will probably have noticed, I am very, very much enjoying my EverDrive. And it makes a world of difference to owning a 32X. I have only got 5 original 32X games, because anything else I can't afford them. There are other games that are affordable, but they're crap. I don't want sports games. I'm not going to spend money, any kind of money, on sports games. That motocross thing, you can find that at an affordable price, but why would you want to? And the good games, the prices are climbing. Even the more common ones are not necessarily very cheap. And then there are like fantastic games. Dark Side, I like that. And what have I played? Dark Side, Stellar Assault, Spider-Man, Knuckles. There are some fantastic games for the 32X, but they are incredibly expensive, some of them. Calibri, major, big time expensive. So owning a 32X doesn't make sense unless you're loaded. You know, if you've got a very well paid job, which I don't, fine. But if you're on a tight budget, and I'm on an incredibly tight budget, a 32X doesn't make sense if you want more than just the few affordable good games. An EverDrive, though, makes a massive, massive, massive big difference. As you'll have seen. You've seen the videos I'm putting up of the 32X, I hope. And I've been able to do videos of games that I never, not in a million years, would I have had a hope of putting up. And it has now reached a point where if someone was to say to me, Jaguar or 32X, I would have said Jaguar, probably. I would now say 32X, so long as you've got an EverDrive. If you've got a Mega Drive, and you've got an EverDrive with it, 32X really does make sense. If you've got a Mega Drive and a 32X already, for goodness sake, get yourself an EverDrive. The two together, or should I say 3, Mega Drive, 32X, EverDrive, to me now it's my favourite retro console, because you have that Master System compatibility as well. You have to unplug the 32X to play the Master System games. I'm actually not doing that. I'll show you why. Yeah, because that's my current setup, where how I'm recording my videos. If I want to do Master System games, I just plug them into my Mark 1. If I'm doing 32X or Mega Drive, I suppose actually Mega Drive I can do with either one, but 32X I'll just switch them over into the Mark 2 that sits next to it. But that's by the by. Mega Drive, 32X, EverDrive. You've got 3 great consoles and a full catalogue of games for all of them, effectively. And that retro gaming heaven. I have enough really, really good games there to be making videos over a very long period of time, and I don't... Is there something like that you can get for the Jaguar? I don't believe there's a Jaguar EverDrive. Is there any kind of flash cartridge for it? One would certainly be good, but I don't know how many games there are on it that would make it a worthwhile purchase. Are there any that are brilliant that are hard to come by? I don't think so. I mean, it's like Stellar Assault and Darkside. Great games. I'm trying to remember what Darkside was like now. It was a few days since I recorded it. I think I liked it. Anyway, you know, they're great games that you wouldn't otherwise come by easily. So an EverDrive makes sense. Are there brilliant but hard to come by games on the Jaguar? I don't think there are. It has changed my view on what is the best system to have in that part of the retro gaming market, you know, post Mega Drive, pre PS1. And I've got to be honest, I like it better than the 3DO. The games on it, yeah, they're not as advanced, and you don't have Need for Speed and Road Rash. But on the 3DO, they for me are... They're the only must-have games on it, for me. There are other good games, but they're the ones that sold it to me. Whereas with the 32X now, there are quite a few games on it that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play them more. Quite a lot more. Moving on. I'm going to pause and have a think before moving on to the next thing, because I want to get it right, because there's the potential for offending people if I get it wrong. Okay. I was involved in a conversation on Facebook yesterday that I found very interesting. And I want to make this absolutely clear right from the get-go. I am not knocking anyone who was involved in this conversation who took a view different to mine, because I think it's a very commonly held view. And all of the points raised were valid. I understand why these people think what they do, hold the view that they do. I understand their frustration. So I just kind of want to follow up on that. And how to construct this without upsetting anyone, really. Bigger channels on YouTube, gaming channels, retro gaming channels in the community, because there are channels that are very big who, let's be honest, aren't really part of the community. They stand apart on their own. Angry Video Game Nerd, Classic Game Room, who's not even on YouTube, well, is and isn't. They are retro gaming, but they're not really part of the community. They're doing their own thing and they're set apart and don't really interact. But there are other channels that are part of the community or have come from it that have become very successful and very big. And there is a view that has been expressed, and I've seen this expressed on various occasions over the years, that when they get bigger, they turn their backs on everyone else in the community and they don't help the little guy and they don't shout them out. And this creates an amount of resentment. And I understand that. Shoutouts are a very, very important part of what makes the community work, what holds it together, what helps the little guy get a start. I get that. And here's the thing, I don't consider myself a big channel. I'm not one of the big guys, but I'm approaching 10,000 subscribers. I've been approaching it for a long while and I can't quite get there. I keep going from like 9,875 up to 9,880 and then it drops back down again and I just can't get any further. And it didn't used to be like that. It is just harder. It is so much harder now to make progress, any kind of progress. And here I am near to 10,000, feeling frustrated that I just can't get that bit more. So to have a new channel, to have 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500, whatever, you want to make progress and it is so bloody hard. And a shout out makes a world of difference. and I get it. I understand what it is to be a smaller channel. I also, being near 10,000, get the pressures and what it is to have a bigger channel. What it's like for me at 10,000 is very different from what it was like for me at a few hundred. It is very different. So I can see both sides. And I'm kind of going to play devil's advocate here, because I understand the resentment that some smaller channels feel towards some larger channels. And I'm not, this isn't about having a poke at anyone. It's just trying to promote a bit of understanding, I think, and maybe on both sides. So the first point, getting bombarded. The bigger channels. I have, as I keep saying, nearly 10,000 subs. And I'm very, very happy with them. And I know that if I shout out a channel, as I do on occasion, not so much lately, I know that if I shout out a channel, that channel will, within the space of a few days, gain about 50 subscribers. That's what a shout out from me is worth. If it's a good channel that I'm shouting out, they'll gain about 50 subs. And that's all. But all, I say all, to a channel that's already only got 50 subs or hasn't got any, that's a huge, big deal. And I get that, and it actually really makes me feel good when I shout out, and I've done it before. There have been channels I've shouted out where I was their first subscriber. And I've shouted them out, and it's propelled them up, you know, given them their first foot in the door, if you like. And it's a nice feeling to do that. And I used to do this every week. I would actively look for channels. If I hadn't got one in mind already, I would look for new channels. I mean, my thing has always been, if someone subscribes to me, and I still absolutely do this, anyone who subscribes to me, I look at their channel. I get an email every time someone subscribes. I look at their channel and I see what they're doing. Because I want to know, is this person doing anything good? Do I want to subscribe to them? I don't subscribe to many channels now. I look for very specific things. Retro gameplay, mostly, with commentary. If they're doing that on retro systems and they're good at it, and they have a regular upload, you know, they're doing them now. It's like, if their last video was 6 months ago or 3 months, even a month ago, and they haven't done anything in a month, I'm not going to subscribe, because the whole point of subscribing is to see when new stuff comes out, and if nothing new is coming out, I don't subscribe. Anyway, that's kind of how I do it. I've lost my train of thought now. Also, I look at people who comment on my videos. Regular commenters, I'm familiar with them. I don't necessarily know what they look like. I recognise a lot of people by their name and their little icon thingy. It confuses the crap out of me when people change their icon, but there you go. I try to familiarise myself with the people who I'm interacting with, and if I find someone that I really like what they're doing, I will shout them out. And that's how I am now. I no longer specifically go and look for someone to shout out, because it used to be my weekly thing. Got to do a shout out, and if I didn't have anyone, I would look for someone. I don't do that now. And why don't I do that now? Why can you go several weeks where I won't shout someone out? I got bombarded. It kind of, I think there was this perception, hey, if you want to get a good start, get a shout out from Steve Benway. He shouts people out. So I was getting hammered with requests in PMs and in video comments. Please shout me out. Please shout out my channel. Please look at my, fair enough, look at my channel. But when you got people basically begging for a shout out, I was kind of open about the fact anyone who asked for a shout out, I did not shout out. It was just a rule. It was to try and stop the bombardment of people saying, please shout me out. And I understand why they did it, because they want that leg up. But it gets too much, and that's me. That's me with my 10,000. So you've got your bigger channels with 100,000. Now imagine someone with that size of an audience, 10 times my audience. If I couldn't hack it, someone with 10 times my audience, if they had the reputation of someone who does shout-outs for the little channels, their PM box would be useless. It's not possible. You can't do that. You can't. You know, if you become the go-to guy with an audience of 10,000, of 100,000, you just can't do that. That's one thing. I suppose the other thing is, it's actually really hard to notice small new channels. I've got a very, very nice sized audience, and I do look at the channels of people who comment. But imagine having 10 times the audience, just getting noticed, noticing a new channel. And I mean, I spend a lot of time doing this. I have the time. I'm fortunate. I say I have the time. I don't have nearly as much time as I would like. But, you know, I make a conscious effort to look for new channels, or I did. But if you've got a massive, massive, massive audience, recognizing new channels, and I very rarely subscribe to a new channel now myself. I keep my subscription count down to below 200, because experience has taught me as soon as you get above 200, it starts becoming unreliable. You start missing it when people are uploading new videos. So I keep it below 200. So it's kind of, when you've been doing it a while, when you've got a massive audience, you might know that person really well, that person with the big channel, but do they know you? Maybe not. Maybe not as well as you'd like to think. They might just recognise your name as a regular commenter, but don't count on them knowing who you are. So I understand the frustration. You really would like them to mention you, but you can't count on them knowing who you are, and I don't think it's fair to expect them to know who you are. With an audience that big, with that many people commenting, even if they interact with that audience, I personally think it's too much to expect. Or, I mean, yeah, hope for, fine, but expect, no. Now, there is, and this has been said more than once, it's been said in the past, the big channels, they sort of stick together. There are cliques, or cliques if you're American. I would call it cliques, because I'm English, and it's spelled weird. Where you have your guest slot, special guest, blah blah blah, and it's always the big guys with the big guys, and there is resentment. The little guys think, bloody hell, could have had me on there. I get that. I think this comes down to two different things. Part of it is you stick with your friends. The people who I communicate with on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are the people who were around when I started. I know them, I'm familiar with them, I know what they think, they know what I think on certain subjects at least. There is familiarity and comfort, and you know, you hang out with the people you're comfortable with and you know the best. Hanging out with your mates. And the people who have been around as long as you, if you're a big channel, are likely to also be big channels. So there is that. It's not that they're turning their nose up at the little channels, they're just hanging out with their friends. Also, this is a thing that is recommended by YouTube and every channel or thing that you can read or look up in trying to get a successful YouTube channel. If you want to get successful on here, if you want a bigger audience, collaboration is the thing. And it's that cross-pollination of audiences, if you like. And there is no point in doing a collaboration with a channel with only 10, 20, 30 viewers, whatever, 50, 100, if you're, you know, in the tens of thousands, collaborating with a much smaller channel, well, certainly it'll benefit the smaller channel, but this is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It needs to be balanced, it needs to be equal. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. If one person is gaining vastly more than the other, why would the other bother? Yes, community. But when you're trying really, really hard and time is limited and you have certain goals and you want to grow your channel, sometimes community is not the priority. Some people are making a living out of this. And it's fair to say, you know, well, it used to just be about the fun and the chat and the communication. But you didn't used to be able to make a living out of it. It's not that they look down their noses. It's just purely being practical. And collaboration with equal sized channels is the way to grow your audience. Anyway, moving on. There is I've heard it said, and again, I'm not singling out anyone who said this. I've seen several people say this over the years. This is not a new phenomena. This has been said for years. I've been doing this in this community for a long time. Well, 6 years. And it was said then and it's said now. They should remember it's us who put them there. No, it's a mistake to think like that. The channels with tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of viewers, they owe their audience nothing. We did not put them there. They put themselves there by being good at what they do, by being entertaining. They have got a huge audience because people like what they do. Some of them may have got there slightly quicker by having a lift up from other channels, getting quick, you know, exposure. Yeah. But they owe us nothing. And it's a mistake to think they do. And anyone who says I'm just not going to watch them anymore because they aren't helping out the little guy. Well, it's absolutely you're right, but you won't be missed. It will not make a difference, and you're not going to get their audience to go away because they're not shouting out the little guy. Their audience is there watching them because they enjoy what they do. And that's really the I read lots of stuff on how to have a successful channel because I want more. I would love to make a comfortable living doing this. I make money from it. And that is a factor in what I do. I would like to make more. I would like a bigger audience. So I read lots of things on how to get a bigger audience. And there are lots of tricks and tips and things that you can do. Collaboration is a key. Regular content, being focused on what you do. Best production values you can afford if that's appropriate. I don't know that it is on mine. Anyway, all of those things matter. But the main, biggest possible thing that will give you a big audience is your personality. People gotta like you. You don't get big if people don't like you. And if you've got a likable personality, you can get very, very big, very, very quickly. And no one will put you up there but yourself. If you're good, if people like you, you get big. You don't owe anyone anything for that. And I think those who say, oh, they should remember who put them there, I'm sorry, but you're making a mistake. I don't buy that. I understand the thinking, because it's that whole democratic thing, isn't it? It's like our whole political system is the majority of people will vote for you if you give the majority of people what they want. But that's not what this is. In a sense, it's about entertainment. All they have to give is entertainment. They don't have to pay you back by shouting you out. There is no obligation. So, summing all of that up, I mean, the conclusion I come to is, should big channels shout out little channels? I don't believe they are under any obligation whatsoever. I believe the people who feel bitter about it when they see a big successful channel with another big successful channel in their guest slot, I believe the people who feel bitter about that, I understand the frustration, but I think it's misguided. Concentrate on your own output. Make your own stuff as well as you can and as entertaining as you can, because the only person who is going to put you up there in the end is yourself. They owe us nothing. But would it be nice to be shouted out by a big channel? Yeah, it absolutely would. There are some very big channels who started out around the same time as me, who once in a blue moon I get a mention. It's not strictly a shout out, but they will mention me in one of their videos or written somewhere. It's happened a couple of times, and I get a big influx of subscribers, and it's a thrill, it's a buzz, and I love it. It's just like, whoa, where the hell did this lot come from? And then I find out so and so, just a mention, and I think, holy crap, if just a mention from one of these guys can do that, what would a full-on shout-out do? And I wish to, I won't say God because I'm not religious, you know, but oh, it would be so nice. Yeah, absolutely, totally. And for all those people thinking, I wish they'd shout out the little guy, I get it, I understand, I'm with you. I do, I wish they would, but it's not my right or your right or anyone's right to say they should, because they owe us nothing. They entertain us, and that's our payment. That we watch, they entertain. If they stop entertaining, we stop watching. But that's the deal, that's the bargain between the viewer and the video maker. They entertain us, we watch. Nothing more. Anything else is just what we would like to happen. That's all I've got to say on that. I hope I haven't upset anyone. It's absolutely not my intention. I don't want to shoot anyone down. I just, because I'm in this position, I feel myself halfway between the two. I have kind of a, I know what it is to be struggling with building an audience, but I also know what it is to be bombarded and unable to keep up with the audience that I have. I can see both sides. I get it. And I guess I just want to create a little bit of understanding on both sides. So let's see where that leads, eh? Okay, moving on, but I'm going to pause again. Okay, right, moving on. I received a comment a couple of days ago from Vampire Mike of Sega CD Universe, and I'm going to read it to you. He says, "It's quite amusing when someone who seems confident or does a lot of YouTube videos in which you don't know them well, but you think you might through their videos. Then they share a personal bit of information such as your job and interview, and you see how truly human they are behind the screen. I guess I see a man a little older than I, with confidence and a wife, a collection, and they have their ducks all in a row, so to speak. Then you speak of high blood pressure and anxiety at an interview. Quite an interesting side we don't normally see." And this is really, really true. You never really know the person you're watching. And YouTube is an odd thing. I spent quite a few years chatting on IRC, Internet Relay Chat. I started out using AMERC on the Amiga, and that was a weird thing in itself. First time I ever fired it up, I was like, who are all these people talking on my computer? And it freaked me out. And then I moved on to Merc on the PC. And I opt in Undernet chat room England, which when I started opping in there, I say op, I mean moderating, they called it ops then. It was a big channel. It's since fizzled out, but then most of IRC has fizzled out. And after that I did webcam video chat rooms. I used all kinds of things like Yahoo chat messenger thing. There were like audio chat rooms and video chat and all kinds of stuff. Stick cam I used, loads of different things, and I used lots of sites. And you always felt, because you could see the person talking to you, that you knew who you were talking to. Compared with IRC, text-based chat, you could be talking to anyone. I mean, there's a cartoon I remember seeing on the internet, no one knows you're a dog, and there's someone like Alsatian sitting there typing at a keyboard. But with video chat, you always felt you couldn't be tricked. You knew exactly who you were talking to. And YouTube, I always felt, was very similar, or a lot of people feel, you know, the same way. You can see this person talking to you. You know who they are. And over a period of time, you kind of get it's like they're your friend. You see them every night, and they talk to you. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. It feels very personal. You can feel an emotional bond with the person you're watching. I get that. I kind of feel that way about some people who I watch, and some of, you know, you laugh when they laugh, and you feel sad when they feel sad, and you think you know them, but you don't. Because all you see on here is the edited highlights. Yeah, some people don't edit at all, and you'll see the swearing and the ums and ers and blank moments where no one's saying anything because they're thinking. But it's still edited highlights. You don't know what's happening in their life. You don't know if their feet smell. You don't know if they fart in bed. You don't know what they're like to talk to personally. Are they a moody bastard? Are they very talkative? Are they comfortable in a group? And it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to, Replay is coming up at Blackpool in May, and I'm going. And it's quite a scary prospect. I mean, I've been twice already, but the first time I went, I had about 1,000 subscribers, and the second time I went, I had about 3,000 subscribers. Now I've got quite a few more. I expect to be recognised. And here's the thing. I'm shy. I sit here and I can talk to this camera and I can go blah. And I can talk well. I'm fairly eloquent. Huh? But it's just me and a camera. There is no one else in the room. There is no one else to hear me speaking. I won't do this if Andrea is in the room. I can't record and speak with someone else in the room. Now, face to face, one-on-one, I can sit and chat. And even with a small group of friends or people who I suppose I know quite well, I'm comfortable enough. Like when I was last time at Blackpool, there were a group of us, and I struggled, but not actually because of the group of people, but because the place was too damn loud, and I couldn't hear. I have hearing difficulties that I'll explain. I've said it before, I've kind of touched on it in the past. I have a neurological, I'm not going to say disorder, condition, we will say. I'm not mentally ill. My brain is just wired a little bit different. I perceive things slightly different from most people. I think in a slightly different way. How I view people is slightly different. I actually process, the mental process, for me, I process people using the same part of my brain as I would process a door or a chair. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. It sort of makes me a little bit detached and a little bit, I will put my foot in my mouth and say stupid things because I actually have to think about the things that some people just know. And it can be awkward, and it makes being in polite company actually really, I find it very uncomfortable, very. And I try very, 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 very hard to hide it. You know, I've been in polite conversation with groups of people and no one would know. I'm actually sitting there intensely wishing I was somewhere else. So you might ask, why the hell am I going to Blackpool? It's retro gaming, and there are people there who I would like to meet. So you wouldn't know this if I didn't tell you, and that's what I mean. You never know the person on the other side of the camera beyond what they tell you. If I didn't tell you that, you wouldn't know. So it's like, okay, at Blackpool, if you're there and you see me, by all means say hello and I will chat. Tell me who you are, because I might not know. And even if I know your name, chances are I recognise you by your little graphical icon and not your face. Even if you do videos, I might have watched one or two, but I watch thousands. And that's a lot of faces, and I'm not necessarily good at remembering faces. So if I look at you blankly and I'm like, hi, and don't mention your name, I'm probably intensely uncomfortable and embarrassed, thinking, okay, who are you? Because I probably don't know. Yeah, and you know, happy to chat, but it's tricky. Because that kind of thing is easy up to the point, and then some people get a little bit imposing and they want to dominate your time or stuff like that. Pushy. I don't do pushy. And they're all like, do this, you'll love it. And I'm thinking, no, back off. I don't want to. Just stand, chat, then let me do my thing. Which is probably just wander around and look at some video games. Yeah. Moving on from that, same subject but away from the Blackpool and the blah. It's something I noticed way back in the IRC days. Most, if not all, of the people who spent a lot of time on IRC they were there for a reason. They were socializing. They did all of their socializing, or most of it, on the internet, and they will have had a reason. They felt more comfortable in a virtual world of IRC or webcam chat or whatever than they did in the real world. They weren't comfortable in the real world. Some physical disability, some psychological difficulty, some, I don't know. I think everyone, or many people who do this, have a reason. The people who do this the most probably have the most reason. I know some very, very, very big channels. I mean, there's one that comes to mind, Mika Kitty. She changed, I can't remember what name she's using now, but her URL channel name is Mika Kitty. Big, big channel. And she goes to the exhibitions, and you see her in videos with friends and stuff, but she is actually shockingly shy, really intensely uncomfortable in groups of people. And she said this, but you wouldn't know it. You watch her videos, bright, bubbly, outgoing, full of fun, but that's the edited highlights, and that's just the example I can think of. I think a great many people who are on here and doing this, they're doing it because it's just a whole lot less frightening than the real world. Yeah, so you think you know you think you know the person you're watching. I guarantee you, even the ones who are really, really open about it, and I'm pretty open, probably more open than would be advisable for my own personal safety. You think you know them, but you don't. And it's just interesting, really. Kind of got nothing else to say on that, and Andrea's just... she's outside the door. I have to stop speaking now. I'm going to do some shout-outs in a minute, because It just seems right after the previous topic to this one. Okay, editing. Okay, shout out time. I've got 2 shout outs for you. First one is Alan Stewart, link down there. Mamemeister is the name he goes by when he's not calling himself Alan Stewart. What can I tell you about him? I'm not doing the whole turn the camera around and show the thing because copyright. Yes, I know he's not going to jump up and down and scream copyright at me if I show his stuff. That sounds wrong. But YouTube can be an arse. So, what can I tell you about him? He's Scottish. He's got that cool Scottish accent. There are some that are cool that I like the sound of, and some I'm like, what the hell are you saying? I understand him. He's a pleasure to listen to. And he does mostly gameplays of more obscure retro games. Not the massively popular, everyone's seen it already games, but slightly more obscure. I mean, there's Beachhead there. Berserk. What? Barmy Burgers. Loads of them. Loads of games. Different systems. And no nonsense. You know what I like by now, surely. No nonsense, no bullshit. He plays the game. He speaks his mind, says what he thinks about it, and in a no nonsense, no hysterics kind of way. He's eloquent. He makes a point, and it's just very enjoyable what he does. I like what he does, and there are a couple of videos here where he speaks to the camera, so you get to see what he looks like, because people like that. Yeah, I've been subscribed to him for a little while now. He's got 75 subscribers at the moment, so you know. I don't know what. I don't know what I mean when I say, you know. I don't really have a point there. Yeah, check him out, see what you think. If you like what he's doing, subscribe. I like what he's doing, I subscribed. Second channel, I've been meaning to shout this channel out for a long time. This is, well, Mentski. And I think at one time the channel was called Mentski TV. Let's get back to the front page, and yes, Mentski TV, but it's just Mentski in the URL, link down there so you can figure it out. Retro gameplay videos with commentary. Slightly more modern games than well, we're talking PS1 era here, I think. Although, what else? I'm sitting here looking, because I can't remember, but I know I've watched several of his videos and really liked what he was doing. Particularly, there's a road rash video here. Now, this guy can talk. This is what I like about him, and he can play. It's not Road Rash, is it? It's Ridge Racer. Duh, what am I talking about? There's a moment in Ridge Racer where he says, I'm good at this. He's going round a corner in the car, and as he says that, he does something that makes you think he is being sarcastic and actually can't play. But keep watching and you realise, no, actually, he really can play. And what he did was very, very clever and very impressive. I'm not going to tell you more than that. Watch it. Yeah, he's got a good style of commentary. Check it out and you'll find out. He flows. He's sharp. He's clever. He's very entertaining, and there are no awkward pauses or gaps or whatever. He flows, and in a sharp manner. He's got a good wit about him. Kinda, if I was to compare him to anyone, I would say Samurai Rabbit, but on gameplay. Yeah, and I like what he does. I've been aware of him for years. He's been a commenter on my channel for years, and I didn't subscribe, I don't think, until fairly recently. And I kicked myself when I finally sort of checked out what he was doing. I was like, God, I've been missing this. He's good. So do go have a look. And if you like what he's doing, subscribe. That is Mentski of Mentski TV. Here we go. Handheld footage now, because I forgot someone else I was going to mention in the shout-outs. Breaking my own rule here. I'm not telling you which rule. Some will know. She will know. Final shout-out. How the hell do you pronounce it? Is it the Gebs or the Jebs? 24. Link down there. Many of you will be familiar with her. She has had the channel never went away. She stopped making videos for about a year after moving to the USA to get married. She is back. She's got her I'm Back video up now, so it's time she put up some retro gaming related videos, Gemma. and stuff, yes. But for those of you who were aware, you know, of her, who she is, what she was doing, and are aware that she went away and stopped uploading, she is now back. And if you don't know who she is and what she's about, well, go and check her out. Yes. Okay, moving on. I'll edit this in somewhere. Okay, that will do for now. Oh. Stop inviting me to stuff. So-and-so has invited me to like his page, so-and-so. Here we go. Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to now. Facebook. Okay. And I guess Google Plus as well. I use Google. I'm on Google Plus. I don't use it. I'm on Twitter, but Twitter I love. I chat to many people on Twitter. If you can call it chat, you know, interact with. Facebook, I dislike Facebook greatly. I dislike it because it's so intrusive. The constant invites or people joining you to things, their groups or whatever. So I say it on there frequently, but I guess people don't see it or don't care. If you're on Facebook, send me a friend request and I will add you to my friends. Absolutely, I add anyone and everyone because it's a good way of communicating. As, yeah, you know, I comment on other people's posts and people comment on mine, and it's much like YouTube in that way. Groups. It is possible on Facebook to join someone to a group without their permission. You just add them. I will say this, do not do that to me. Because if you do, I'll block you. And I won't give you any warning whatsoever. I cannot abide being joined to groups. I'm sure now there'll just be a flood of people just go and join me to their group. I'm not interested in groups on Facebook. I don't have time. That and my inbox just gets flooded. Every time someone posts something on a group that I'm in, it goes to I get a notification on Facebook, I get a bloody email, and yes, you can stop all of that with settings, but I don't want to have to. I'm not interested in the group, I don't have time. Don't join me to your groups. If you auto join me, I will block you. Invites. So-and-so has invited me to like his page, so-and-so. Don't bother. If I've accepted you as a friend, cool, you can communicate with me. If you've got another page, I don't care. I don't. I'm not going to like your other page. Don't invite me to your group. You know, absolutely don't auto-join me because I'll just block you. But don't bother inviting me. I don't do groups. I don't have time. I don't have the interest. I mean, even if it's retro gaming, even if you think I'd be really, 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 really interested, please don't, because I'm not. I don't have the time. I don't have the inclination. Don't care. Don't want. So, yeah, I mean, the people who invite me, I just decline. The people who auto-join me, bam, no two ways about it, I just block. And even if they come back on some other thing and apologise later on, unless I can actually see exactly who they were, because I've got a list of blocked people, and if you're using a different name and I don't recognise it and stuff, just don't do it. Yeah, that's that. I know, I'm a moody bastard when it comes to things like that, but it is when you've got a lot of people following you and a lot of invites, it just gets to be an inconvenience and a waste of time. Don't need it. Don't do it. Yeah. Wow, that came out of the blue. This was unplanned. It's just I'm sitting here looking at someone inviting me to like something. And no, won't. Pressing that little X button now. Turning off notifications. Thank you. Okay, so what's coming up? Well now, more of the same. Yes, expect 32X Mega Drive and Master System videos this week. And that's probably about all. Yeah. Nothing else in mind right now, but you never know. Things turn up unexpectedly, and more often they don't. I'll shut up now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the thumbs up button. I upload videos daily, so go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. To all those who've already subscribed, I'd just like to say a great big thank you.